What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. So today I'm going to go through 3 envelopes that I just recently got back from the mail from 3 former baseball players from the 1960s and early 70s. So we're just going to jump into this first one with a postmark from Florida from former Washington Senator lefty specialist Dick Lines on 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as you can see, I sent 3 of the same card. I believe that Dick only has these 2 cards. I could be wrong. But let me tell you about Dick Lines and his career in baseball. Born in Montreal, Canada, Dick Lines moved to Virginia in his youth and attended Manchester High School in Midlothian, Virginia, before he was signed to play professional baseball by the Pittsburgh Pirates right before the 1957 season. He spent 8 years in the Pirates organization, working his way up through the Pirate system, and then finally in 1965 he found his calling when he was converted to a relief pitcher when he was in AAA with the Pirates that year. So from 1957 to 1960, Lines actually was with the Pirates organization. And I don't have the transaction in front of me. It's not actually even listed on his Wikipedia page or baseball reference page. But he spent the 1961 season with the Chicago White Sox. Well, despite spending that time at the White Sox let him go, and he returned to the Pirates organization in '62. In '62, he spent the entire year with the Pirates, also '63 and '64, and then after the '64 season, he was then traded, or sold, I guess you would say, to the Washington Senators. Well, the Senators decided to continue to use him as a reliever out of the bullpen in AAA, and in 1966, he made the Washington Senators pitching team. And he took this opportunity and he dazzled. He posted a 5-2 win-loss record, posting a 2.28 ERA in 53 games out of the bullpen for the Washington Senators that year. Well, obviously, he was asked to come back in 1967, although this time his record dipped to 2-5 the following year, posting a 3.36 ERA in 54 games. Well, despite having somewhat very successful seasons with the Washington Senators, they decided not to bring him back to the major leagues in 1968. Lines would actually spend the entire 1968 season in AAA in 52 games for the Senators AAA affiliate, and he would post just a 1-7 record. His ERA was still pretty solid. However, going into 1969, again, the Nationals kept him in AAA, and midway through the season in 1969, he was then shipped to the Houston Astros after the Washington Senators were finished with him. Houston never gave him a shot at the major leagues, and he finished the year appearing in 39 games between Washington and Houston, posting a 3-4 record. So after the '69 season, he was let go by Houston, and there are no stats after that. Post-playing career, I'm not really sure what he did. His Wikipedia does not say. So I just want to thank Mr. Lines. He had, one superb season and one pretty solid season. And despite having those type of numbers, he just did not get a chance to stick in the major leagues. But I want to thank him for taking the time to sign my cards, and we'll move on to the next one. All right, so this next one is postmarked from Arizona, and it is former pitcher from that era also, Jim Shellenback, on 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as you can tell, these are all coaches' cards from later in his life after his playing career, but Shellenback did play during the 1960s and early 70s. I was actually going through my cards recently, and I found some Shellenback original cards, and I'm like, I don't know why I didn't send one of those instead of the duplicate coach card. But he does have a lot of cards out there from the 60s and the 70s, and add the layer of coaching for all the years that he coached. There's a lot of team set cards and such out there as well. I happen to have extras of this pro card sets from back in the day, but I actually had that team set, so I decided to send all those to him. So let me tell you about Jim Shellenback and his career in baseball as both a player and a coach. So Jim Shellenback was a Riverside, California native that was originally signed out of Ramona High School by the New York Yankees in 1962. For whatever reason, the Yankees didn't hold on to him long, and he was actually sent then to the Pittsburgh Pirates after a short stint with the Yankees minor league affiliate. He would then spend 1962 through 1966 pitching for the Pittsburgh Pirates affiliates, working his way up through the organization until he got called up on September 15th, 1966 by the Pittsburgh Pirates. Well, in the 66 season, he appeared in just 2 games for the Pirates, pitching in very limited work, just appearing in 3 innings that year for the team. Well, in 67, he would again start the season and spend the majority of the season with their AAA affiliate, but again would get a call up in 67 where he would then, this time, pitch in 6 games, starting 2 of those, posting a 1-1 record. Well, the following year, in 1968, he would again be in AAA for the Pirates, and this time, unfortunately, he did not get a call up to the majors that year, posting a 9-8 record in 25 games with a respectable 2.85 ERA. Well, in 1969, he would begin the season with the Pirates, and he would appear in just 8 games with the Pirates before the Pirates decided to trade him to the Washington Senators on May 17, 1969. He would spend the 1969, 70, and 71 season with the Washington Senators at the major league level, and he would make the move across the country and become a Texas Ranger the following year in 1972. Well, after some struggles moving to Texas, he got sent down for the majority of the 1973 season, where the Rangers decided to use him primarily as a starter, where he started 23 or 27 games and posted a 13-7 record for the Rangers that year. Well, despite such a strong outing in AAA, the Rangers only brought him up for 2 games that year in 1973. Well, in 1974, he would again start the year in AAA, but this time he would split the season, appearing in 12 games in AAA and 11 games in the majors that year for the Rangers. After the 74 season and before the 75 season began, the San Diego Padres purchased his contract from the Texas Rangers. Despite purchasing his contract from the Rangers, the San Diego Padres did not call him up to the majors and stuck him in AAA, where he went 10-6 in 32 games for them in 1975. In 1976, he would again not get a call to the majors with the Padres, and he would be stuck in AAA, appearing in 27 games, posting a 7.5 record and an ERA of 3.88. Well, after the 76 season, with no call-ups to the major leagues by the Padres, he was then released by the Padres after 77, and he would sign with the Minnesota Twins. Now, this is very important for the future, so we'll talk about that when we get to it. Well, his time in Minnesota was very brief, and he didn't have too much success, as in 5 games he had an ERA nearly with an 8.0, it was 7.94 in just the 5 games he was up with Minnesota. Well, with this struggle in the majors, he would spend the majority of the season in Double-A this time for the Twins, appearing in just 6 games for them, with a total of 11 games total that season for the 1977 season combined. So that tells me he probably had some arm issues that year if he only appeared in 11 games. So over a 9-year career, he actually spent 6 of them with the Washington Senators, Texas Rangers organization, 3 of them with the Pirates, and just the 1 brief period with the Minnesota Twins. And over that time, he appeared in 165 games as a pitcher, starting 48 of them throughout his career. After his retirement as a player, Shellenback was a longtime coach in the Twins minor league system. He also served on the major league staff in 1983. He also managed the AAA Portland Beavers in 1988, which I think is that card right there. And he also, after his career doing that, he went to the rookie level of the now defunct Elizabethtown Twins, which was in the Appalachian League, which is no longer in existence. And he was their pitching coach from 1994 through 2011. So he had an 18-year career coaching in rookie ball for the Minnesota Twins organization. So I'm very happy to add his autograph to the collection. Very neat that this guy had such a long career in baseball. Now he's enjoying retirement, I guess, in Arizona. And we'll move on to the next autograph. All right, so this next one is one that I've wanted to share with you for a while, and it's postmarked from California. And it is a former Seattle Pilot, Dick Baney, on his rookie card, 1, 2, and 3. And he signed him in pen, it looks like, ballpoint pen, and that one looks a little stronger, and they're all kind of weak, but I can assure you they are signed, and they do look pretty good. So let me tell you about Dick Baney and his career, but first, let me address Miguel Fuentes, the gentleman that shares the card with Dick Baney. So this Miguel Fuentes is probably one of the most tragic stories in the history of baseball. And you're probably saying, remember the great sports? What are you talking about? Well, Miguel Fuentes played for the expansion Seattle Pilots in September of 1969 and would appear in 8 games for them. Well, during the off season, he would go play Winter League baseball in Puerto Rico. And after the Puerto Rican League season concluded, he was actually murdered outside of a bar in Puerto Rico at just 23 years old. So Miguel Fuentes never had an opportunity to pitch past the 1969 season, and this card actually was already printed by the time of his death. So this falls into the category of this is an impossible card to actually have signed. There is absolutely no possibility that Miguel Fuentes could have ever signed this card because he perished before the card was released, from my understanding. So I'm not going to talk about Miguel Fuentes because this episode's about Dick Baney, but I just wanted to point out that Miguel Fuentes is probably one of the most tragic stories in baseball history. And I might actually one day put together a video of people like Miguel Fuentes, because I have a couple other stories that are in my mind of players that were lost during their playing career because of just tragic events. And I'm not talking about car crashes or anything like that, but just some weird things that happened to these major league players that, Miguel, never got a chance to play again after he was murdered. So that's a story for another time. So let me tell you about Dick Baney and his career in baseball. So Dick Baney, a California native, actually was originally drafted in the 3rd round by the somewhat new California Angels. He chose not to sign and instead was drafted the following year by the Boston Red Sox in the 1st round out of Anaheim High School in Anaheim, California. Baney would pitch in the minor leagues from 1966 to 1968 with the Boston Red Sox, posting a 14-6 record in 1968 with a 1.84 ERA. Well, he would be drafted in the expansion draft by the Seattle Pilots from the Boston Red Sox, and in 1969 he would appear in 9 games, starting one of them for the new expansion Seattle Pilots. He would have one win and 0 losses with a 3.86 ERA. Well, after the 1969 season, the Pilots moved to Milwaukee, and midway through the 1970 season, on June 15th, he was traded to the Baltimore Orioles for Dave May. Well, he did not play in the majors that year in 1970, instead splitting time between Milwaukee and Baltimore's AAA affiliate, posting a 5-5 record. Well, in 1971, the Orioles would then ship him to the Cincinnati Reds, where he would split time between their AAA affiliates, but this time he posted a 10-4 record for the Reds. He would then be sent back to Baltimore after his time with the Reds. They would then sell his contract to the new San Diego Padres. So after his time with the Padres, he would then be sold to the Chicago White Sox, and the White Sox would only hold on to him for a month before they would release him, and then the Oakland A's would pick him up, and the A's would only hold on to him for about a week before he was released again and picked up by the Cincinnati Reds for the second time. So he moved around quite a bit in 1973. Well, the Reds really must have wanted him because they actually called him back up to the majors. And in 1973, he appeared in 11 games, and this is the first time he pitched in the majors since 1969, playing for all those expansion teams I just talked about. And he posted a 2-1 record over those 11 games. Well, the following year, in 1974, he would appear in 22 games for the Reds, and he posted just a 5.49 ERA, so he split some time in AAA for the Reds, appearing in 12 games for them that year in AAA. In 1975, he did not crack the Reds' major league lineup and spent 16 games in 1975 for the Reds, posting an 0-3 record. He appeared in his last game on October 2nd, 1974, and that was the last time he played in the major leagues. His career record is 4-1 with a 4.28 ERA and 3 saves over his career. So after his career, he went back into business as a general contractor with his father. So he worked with his father as a general contractor in his business. Now here's something that I've never said on my channel, and I don't plan on saying this too many more times, but in 1977, Dick Baney posed for Playgirl magazine, and here's a cover shot of him, and I can't tell you which one's him on the front there, but that's something that I don't normally advertise on my channel, but you know, what the heck. I figured that was something that was important. It's on his Wikipedia page. So was not expecting to share that little bit of information with you. So we'll call this the R-rated version of Through the Mail Thursdays. So I want to thank Mr. Baney for signing. I also want to thank Mr. Lyons for signing his 4 as well. I also want to thank Mr. Shellenback for signing his as well. And if I decide to write Mr. Shellenback again, I'll definitely send him some 1960s, 70s era cards. Again, with Miguel Fuentes, perhaps I'll do a video on him someday. Tell me what you think about these cards that I got back in the mail. I look forward to your comments below, and as always, happy collecting.